Tuesday, March 19, 2019. This is Mercedes Diesel Guy, and this is my 1998 Volvo S70 base model project car. So, for those of you just joining us, to recap my last video, I finally got the brakes on this car done. I'm going to essentially finish the mechanical work on this car tonight. Most of it anyway. I really wish I would stop saying that, because I know I'm jinxing myself. But in terms of what I need to do, I need to replace the fuel filter, which is on the passenger side, closer to the underside of the floor, that is. So yeah, fuel filter, check the feel of the brake pedal, and then at that point, that really, oh yeah, also want to pour a bunch of coolant into the cooling system. I should do that before I start the car, because it's bone dry in there at the moment. I won't get a total fill, because I'll need to get the car out in the driveway, have it run a while, and just let the system burp out air bubbles. But yeah, that's what that is. And then aside from that, I do need to clean out the interior a bit. It's a mess in there. So I'm going to get to work now, and I'll let you know what I have done at the end of the evening. I'm out here much earlier tonight. Not as early as I would have liked, but tomorrow will be even earlier. Basically, this week I should be able to get out here to the garage pretty much when I get home from work. Now, that didn't quite happen tonight, but it's still much earlier than it has been. Tomorrow I should be out here much earlier, get a lot more hours in. And I'm thinking a day or two, and I should have this car on the road. Once again, I'll film an update after I'm done working for the night. Okay, well, it's about 11:15, and I'm going to call it a night, an earlier night than it has been. And I don't know, I've been out here for maybe a little over an hour and a half, and I know that's not a lot of time, but I don't want it to get too late. I do need to catch up on sleep. So I did get some things done, because I bled the brakes last night. I actually, let's see, I filled the cooling system with a funnel and from a couple of gallon bottles of coolant, and I got it full to the top. And then did some other work. I realized that I was going to be putting the wheels back on very shortly, and I wanted to clean up the wheel bolts. So here's one of them. I'm going to get it up a little closer to the camera. So you can see right there, the bolt is reasonably clean and shiny. I've seen much worse wheel bolts than the ones on this car. But they certainly weren't clean. I basically ran them over a wire wheel, all 20 of them, so that took a little while. But they're all clean now. The front ones were just kind of all cruddy in general and sort of sticky. I think maybe somebody had used anti-seize on them at one time, which, you know, I've done in the past, but I haven't done in a long time. These days what I typically do is I just clean the bolts up as clean as they'll go, and put them in dry. And basically every time I remove them, I just wire brush them and keep the rust off them. So, pulled all 20 of them out. Like I said, the front ones were kind of cruddy, and I think there may have been some anti-seize on them, something. But they're all clean now. And then the rears looked like they'd been oiled. So, once again, I cleaned those up and wire brushed them, so all of them thread in the way they should now. And then when I was done with that, I looked at the cooling system again, and the level had dropped. It had kind of evened out a bit while I was working on the wheel bolts. So I got my funnel, and I filled it back up to the top again. And I suspect that I'll be doing a few of these catch-up fills until it's actually full, until it's blowing air bubbles out of the system. And then I got over to the passenger side rear of the car to replace the fuel filter, and that took longer than I suspected. It's been quite a while since I've done a fuel filter on one of these cars, and logically it's actually a very easy process. Once you have the car jacked up and you have access, there's one bolt holding on the bracket, and then there's two quick release fittings on the end of the fuel filter. There aren't even any hose clamps. I mean, you literally just pull back the quick release fitting and the hose pulls off the fuel filter. Couldn't be too much easier. The little bolt there, which I think was 12 or 13 millimeter, I don't remember which, it was stuck, so I had to get some PB Blaster on there, work the bolt back and forth a bit, and then it did come out on me okay without breaking, so that was nice. Then I also had to release the pressure on the fuel line, and there is a Schrader valve on the inlet side of the fuel, on the hose on the inlet side of the fuel filter. So it's a matter of just pulling the cap off the Schrader valve, and that's, if you don't know what a Schrader valve is, it's like the valve on your tire. Open the doors like I said I would. Started the car and tested the brake pedal. It actually took a minute to get the car started, and it makes sense. Even though I did cycle the key a few times, I don't know what the exact factory procedure is for this, but I I had a lot of the fuel system apart while I was doing all this work. When I had the intake manifold off, I had the fuel inject. I had to release the pressure at the fuel rail, and I had the injectors out, and I put new seals in the fuel injectors, and this was all weeks ago. And I also had disconnected the fuel line there at the fuel rail. So so there was a bunch of air in that part of the system. And then now when I put in the brand new fuel filter, it was bone dry inside. So to round back to my point here, when I did cycle the key a few times to run the fuel pump, and I figured that would pressurize the system enough. But I tried to start the car, would not start. So I cycled the key a few more times, tried it again, and it fought me a little bit, but eventually fuel made its way through the system, and the car did start and ran beautifully. So I actually did not want to get that on film, because even with the doors open here, it's still really poor practice to start the car here in the garage. You know, do as I say, not as I do. So, you know, I mean, if I had the tail end of the car facing the other way outside the garage door, which is this way, and I could back the car out right away, sure. But for a car that I was going to run in here for a few seconds, and actually it turned out to be longer than a few seconds. It was maybe closer to 10 or 15 seconds while I was testing that brake. So I'm confident that the brakes are good and will work fine, and that the fuel filter is in, and that's good to go. The big test there was I had to check whether or not the everything was leaking when I put in the new fuel filter. It's actually the first thing I did. I cycled the key, got out of the car, went back around, looked underneath the fuel filter, made sure nothing was dripping or spewing out there. So, okay, fuel filter done, brakes done, suspension done a little while ago. So, really, at this point, it's a matter of putting some wheels and tires on the car, airing them up, cleaning the car out, which shouldn't be too bad. It's really a matter of just wiping down hard surfaces, picking up, getting a trash bag and picking up all the previous owner's junk, and then vacuuming the car. I don't think any of that's going to take me too long, but it's not going to be tonight anymore. Then swapping in the new battery, and then the, I'm sure you can't see a damn thing there on the camera, but also the upper engine mount, which I checked. It really doesn't seem that bad in this car, or bad at all, but I do want the polyurethane mount from the old car. So, this is Mercedes Diesel Guy. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you probably on tomorrow's video when I actually, get wheels on the car, get it on the ground, get it cleaned up a bit, and maybe even get it out of the garage and test drive it. So, with any luck, I'll be able to start on the car 6:30 p.m. tomorrow, which gives me a lot more time to work on it. This is Mercedes Diesel Guy. Thanks for watching.